Okay. Let me quickly come to this. Earlier, you noted that in 2024, the report said we're the 8th most terrorized. Now it's the 6th most terrorized. Now, what exactly could be responsible for this sleep? And also, just add to that, how do you expect that the military should have approached these reports? Because there are always two sides to every issue, whether the cup is half full or half empty.
Definitely. So in my opinion, they provided a lot of reasons for the situation in the decline in our ranking in Nigeria. But there are two that I felt are very important to us. Number one, they ascribed what they call weak governance, especially the institutions of government in counter-terrorism. In other words, the things that we're supposed to do to counter terrorism. And remember, we have a national counter-terrorism strategy. We also have a policy framework on countering violent extremism. So in summary, they are saying that our capacity to implement the strategy and the policy framework has been very weak over time. The second reason they gave is mining and the conflict associated with mining. And you know, the facts speak to this. If you look at the situation in Zamfara, the situation in Borno State, almost every part of northern Nigeria where you have the terrorism challenge, there are extractive minerals in those locations. Again, there are several other reasons they provided, but these two, I think, are the most important ones for us, especially with regards to the situation in the Sahel.
Well, Mr. Adamu, an emerging security threat for Nigeria is the decision of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger to pull out of ECOWAS, thereby undermining the regional security efforts. How can this be salvaged, and how can Nigeria reinvent its approach to tackling these terror threats?
There are about 2 or 3 questions in your one question.
So you take them one after the other.
Yeah, the 3 countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Incidentally, all the 3 countries are listed in the index as part of the 10 most terrorized countries of the world. In fact, Burkina Faso is the #1 most terrorized country in the world. Then Mali and Niger scored even higher than Nigeria. So clearly, the military governments in those countries, as far as the GTI report is concerned, have not done well in addressing the terrorism challenge in their 3 countries. And because of their proximity to Nigeria, that should worry us. Now, with regards to your question on them pulling out of ECOWAS and what it could mean for our defense cooperation and other security cooperation for us, huge, especially given the size of Niger and its proximity to Nigeria. There is roughly around 1,600 kilometers of shared border between Nigeria and Niger, where, again, I repeat, 1,600. So imagine what would happen to the Accra initiative, which has coastal countries. Unfortunately, none of them is as effective as it should be. So I think as a country, especially the regional hegemon that we are, we should focus on ensuring that these 2 that I mentioned, the Multinational Joint Task Force and Accra initiative, become more effective so that we can capitalize on them to reduce the vulnerabilities that exist within the region. We can't do it alone. We need our neighbors. And the only way to approach this is to ensure that our neighbors are supportive, and to that extent, we're able to go forward. With regards to what we need to do, what the Nigerian military needs to do, so this is the challenge. It's not a military issue. It should be a national issue. The military is just one element within the security sector. If you count them, there are about 27 to 29 of them, and the military is just 4 out of these 27 or 29. In fact, the coordination of our counter-terrorism is not in the hands of the military. There is a coordinator of counter-terrorism who is based in the office of the National Security Advisor. And so the responsibility to pick this report and dissect the report and bring out the element, especially the pathway to radicalization. I keep on mentioning this. This is what should worry us. How do people become radicalized? How do they embrace terrorism? The report has provided several pathways, especially the use of cyber space. And I think we should be worried about that. When we see our youth embracing the cyberspace, we should try to understand how they become radicalized using the cyberspace. So I'm hoping that the coordinator of counterterrorism will pick this report, dissect it, and then contextualize it. A lot of what they mentioned is not really, in terms of context, it's not something we can relate with in Nigeria, but we can contextualize it and then start, if we need to amend any of our existing policies, any of our existing strategies to counter the threat that we're seeing from terrorism, then we should do it immediately.